What's up everybody, it's Roman Gaming here. So literally for months I've been asked by my viewers to do a top 25 games of all time. Now I want to really quickly get out of the way because of course I've decided to finally do it, and I'm definitely somewhat excited to really talk with you about games I played in the past. But can I just say how freaking incredibly difficult it is to actually make a list like that? I mean, basically, like, I've been playing games since my childhood, right? So if you start comparing games that you played on the Game Boy Color to games that you're playing right now in the PS4, it's impossible, you know, that you love as well. It's just so hard to actually make a top 25 list where I look at it right now and I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally my top 25 games of all time. It's just impossible. So that's what I really quickly wanted to say is don't take it too seriously, I guess. I mean, you could randomize, I guess, still a lot of these games, especially in the earlier or sorry, in the, you know, number 15 to number 20 category for sure. But what I decided to do basically is I decided to go with two rules for making this this list. So what I pretty much did is I went for one game per franchise, so that you're not gonna, you know, because I already see the comments like, oh, you're just gonna put Uncharted in this complete top 5. No, obviously not. But, you know, so I decided to really keep it to like a one game per franchise with this list. So you're not gonna see a lot of the same repeated games at all. It's really gonna be about different games that I've been playing for the entire, you know, last 18 years, I guess, of my life, because I pretty much started when I was 4 years old, so yeah. And it's also purely based on, like, nostalgia, not in any way on quality. Don't start comparing my number 25 to my number 5 entry and be like, how the fuck did he just put that game at number 5 and this is 25 when this is clearly a much better game? It's purely based on when I think back about that game. Did I, you know, what was like, did I have a good time playing it? It really is nostalgia, not in any way based on quality. I'm gonna be dropping kind of a bombshell in this video, even at the end with the game I'll be talking about as well. But yeah, it really is like a personal list, right? And so what I'm pretty much gonna do, I'm not gonna put them all in one big, you know, 10-minute video, talk about each game for like 10 seconds and that's it. What I wanted to do is really like do a commentary video series of like 5 parts where I'm gonna be talking about 5 games every single time that I really liked for a certain reason, that I have great memories of, and where I have some kind of personal story to you know, share with you. And I think that once again, those personal stories really will be coming forward in the final, you know, 10, 15, 20 games. Maybe in the beginning not so much yet, but because it is 25 games after all, that's quite a lot. Anyway, I've been talking way too much. Let's actually get into the list, right? So this will be my number 25 until my number 21 for this part. Let me know, of course, your own lists and if you enjoyed these videos. And then, yeah, there's going to be more parts coming in the future. Probably not weekly or something, but every few weeks you'll get a new part of this series. So I think that's going to be really cool. So I'm just going to start off with number 25. I decided to really kick things off quite slowly with a game that is not very special, I guess, to talk about. At number 25 I put Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of Mordor was a game that came out in 2014 that just really surprised me. And why? Because it was a game I didn't see coming. Of course, I've been a Lord of the Rings fan for so long already, my entire life pretty much, and I think what's funny about Shadow of Mordor is that whenever, you know, I talk about what I like about that game, it has nothing to do with the fact that I was a Lord of the Rings fan, because the game really is about its gameplay. That's what I truly enjoyed about it. The hack and slash felt super satisfying, and it was simply, I still remember that so well in 2014, of course. The draw was quite real when the PS4 had just come out, and I saw this trailer for it, and it just looked like they were ripping off Assassin's Creed like crazy in that original reveal trailer. I was not looking forward to the game at all, and it started getting great reviews, and I'm like, well, I might as well pick it up and try it out. And here I was getting addicted to it, playing it for a good, you know, 25-30 hours in literally a week or something. So I really had a blast with that game. It was my game of the year 2014. Yeah, just a game that I thought was very satisfying to play, and that's pretty much all I can say about it. In the end, it earned a spot still at number 25 in my 25 best games of all time, or favorite games of all time, I guess. At number 24, so I went basically, I would put the entire franchise on there, or all the games that I played. I don't necessarily know if this is my favorite in the series, but I think so. Yeah, because I've really still thought about which game I would put on this list. I decided to go with Ratchet and Clank: A Crack in Time. So basically that's what I mean, right? Ratchet and Clank, I've played quite a few games. I started off on the PSP, never played the PS2 games, by the way. I want to quickly get that out of the way, because anybody, you know, anyone will tell me that Ratchet and Clank really had its glory days on the PS2. I never played those games. I played them on the PSP. I remember there was a game called Size Matters and Secret Agent Clank, and, you know, I was still quite young, so I enjoyed myself with that. I was maybe 10 or 12 years old. I really liked those games. And then I went to the PS3 and I started playing like Tools of Destruction, but especially a Crack in Time, where I just thought like the scale and the way it felt so much bigger than what I had played on the PSP. I finally saw why those games were so amazing, you know, and they were just very fun to play. That's always been a staple of that franchise. It's fun, action-packed gameplay plus platforming, which I love. Of course, recently Ratchet & Clank came out on PS4, kind of like a reboot or remake of the original. Love that game as well. I would recommend anybody to play that if you have a PS4. One of the best exclusives out there right now, but in the end, A Crack in Time is probably the favorite one, my favorite that I've played, so that's the one I put at number 24. Now we're going to number 23. I decided to go with LittleBigPlanet 1. LittleBigPlanet is also this game where I didn't see it coming. I remember that I had a friend basically in high school who was talking to me about that game. He was really hyped about it for some reason because, you know, you couldn't only play levels, you could also build them yourself. And so I did decide to get it ultimately to, you know, play it with some other friends that were excited about it like him. But especially also I remember, you know, because like it was pretty much, it's a platformer, right? So it was always fun to play it with my family. I have a big family, 2 younger brothers and a younger sister, so obviously playing that together in co-op with everybody taking a controller, playing it together, it was just fun times, and I still think that the original LittleBigPlanet is the best one. 3 was kind of disappointing on the PS4. The second one was cool, but what I loved about the original LittleBigPlanet is, well, it was obviously new, and at the same time it had so many awesome new themes every time in its single-player campaign. Plus, yeah, you know, you played those community levels, you could literally, like, there were people that would be making levels from other games in LittleBigPlanet, so you'd be playing a different game in LittleBigPlanet, like Metal Gear Solid or the Uncharted series, you know, and it would just be awesome, right? It was so much fun, it was very original, I loved the original LittleBigPlanet, so that's the one I put at number 23. Number 22 is a game that I played on the PS3 in like 2010. Still remember it very well because I remember, you know, even where I lived back then, it was kind of a weird situation that I talked about in the podcast already. Number 22, I decided to go with Heavy Rain. What I remember about that game is simply the fact that I bought the game because I knew it was going to be a detective and I really like detectives. So I bought the game pretty much and I went back home on my bicycle, of course, arrived, put the game in my PS3, started playing it, and before I knew it, it was like 7-8 hours later in the evening or night or whatever, and I'd beaten the game. I'd beaten that game in one sitting because that's how much I enjoyed the story. You know, Heavy Rain was just an awesome detective story where I made some bad choices and in the end I had an ending that really sucked, which you can check back in my top 10 favorite video game endings. And that made me feel bad for days because I had such a depressive ending. I don't think I even realized that the game was really that based on choices, so that you could just do a second playthrough and get a happy ending as well. I thought that was the ending at that point, and so I just felt super bad about it the day after, and even, yeah, maybe a couple of days afterwards, for the ending that I got. It was just a very impactful experience, I guess. I love that game, Heavy Rain, played it a couple times afterwards still, got the Platinum Trophy, of course, and I think many of these games that I'll be mentioning in this list, I got the Platinum Trophy because, yeah, if they're PS3 games or something, I used to be a massive trophy hunter back in those days. So, Heavy Rain, great game, you know, awesome experience. You can replay it now on the PS4. I don't think it holds up too well, simply for the fact that the acting is kind of cringy, but I guess that didn't bother me as much 7 years ago yet, so, because I wasn't used to that much yet. Alright, number 21. This is gonna be the one that people will give me shit for. I even at some point contemplated like literally leaving it out of the list because it's never been the impactful experience to me that it was to other people, although I still really love the game and I can't wait for part 2. At number 21 I put The Last of Us. And this is the thing, of course, is that I have a big Naughty Dog audience and stuff, and you know, of course I'm also making a lot of videos on The Last of Us Part 2 already, and even on the original I made quite some videos on it, I guess. The Last of Us, you know what it is with that game, really? It's super hard to explain, but do you understand when I'm talking about purely based on nostalgia, right? Do you understand that feeling when you love a game and it feels like it's yours? That's really what I have with like a lot of the games on this list, mainly towards the end. They feel like, oh, those were my games, you know, because I love them so much. I have such great memories of them. The Last of Us, I never really had that as much. It felt like I was playing the game that other people loved and that I really liked. So it felt like I was playing someone else's game. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but it is a great game that tells a fantastic story, obviously. It's a Naughty Dog game. They've made some of my other actual, you know, favorite games of all time, of which one, of course, you're gonna see back in this list very high. But yeah, I mean, The Last of Us it was a fantastic game, don't get me wrong, and I'm so much looking forward to part 2. It's gonna be, once again, a great game, and hopefully will make me feel a little more close to the franchise. But where so many people were blown away by The Last of Us, I felt like, you know, because of its cinematic storytelling and the characters and everything like that, just a story that's told in a video game, I felt like I'd already experienced that with a game like Uncharted 2, which I feel a lot of the people that were praising The Last of Us at the time might have not even played that game, and you know, I think it's just that it has a somewhat more appealing setting to a lot of people. Post-apocalyptic, there's infected involved, it's a story, it's a depressive story, so therefore connects with a lot of people, you know, because it is so impactful at its core already. But you know, I can appreciate that about it as well, of course, obviously. But yeah, it just felt to me like when you compare, you know, we just gotta compare Uncharted to The Last of Us. What I love about Uncharted is the fact that it's lighthearted, even though I would normally not even say that lighthearted is necessarily something I like that much, or I would rather have something be very serious. But I just loved that it was always sunny. It's you know, it's always, in the end, it's all gonna be fine. You're just playing a fun game. The Last of Us never really was a fun game. It was a, let's be honest, kind of depressive game that's still, you know, cool to play and that I still enjoy. But therefore, I don't know, it just never connected to me as much as it did with other people. And I hope you don't hate me for saying that, but that's simply how I feel about, you know, the original The Last of Us. So I still put it at number 21 though, and I think that's a great spot for it. So yeah, with that being said, this was actually the first part of my top 25 games of all time. These videos will be quite long. I really quickly do want to say that, of course, you'll be getting early access to these if you're a Patreon supporter, because they're a part of my top 10 countdown series. The people on Patreon really help support me in making these videos possible, and yeah, as a quick little reward as well, get a week early access to these videos compared to other people. So if you want to see the next part of this series early, then please help me out, become a Patreon supporter. You don't only just get the rewards, of course, it's really about wanting to support me with everything I do, so I'd appreciate that, of course, as usual. And then I look forward a lot to, in a few weeks, share with you, you know, the next 5 games that I'll be talking about of my top 25 games of all time. So with that being said, thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and I hope to see you again next time.